Okay, this is a special request by a subscriber that needed a little clarity on the Federal Aviation Administration test. This is the private pilot uh, version. The first one they sent is which would most likely cause the cylinder head temperature and engine oil temperature gauges to exceed their normal temperature ranges. Option A is using fuel that has a lower than specified fuel rating. B, using fuel that has a higher than specified fuel rating. Or C, operating with a higher than normal oil pressure. Here I've installed a engine instrument section in the cockpit that would be on the cockpit panel. This is actually from a helicopter, and we have the oil pressure temp and we have the cylinder head temp here. Now it's very, very important to understand that we have ranges or color ranges in these instrument gauges. Green is always good. Green would always be the normal operating range, and if you saw yellow, that would be a caution, and red would be bad, dangerous. So just like the green light system, if you're green, go; yellow, caution; red, stop. So when we fuel, because that's what the questions are kind of, or the answers are kind of going with, a little bit of oil pressure. We could throw this one away, but we want to be very, very careful when we are refueling our aircraft, because we want to consult our pilot's operating handbook and make sure that we are using the proper fuel grade. After we refuel, we test the fuel during pre-flight, but here are some of the basic fuel grades that you will see in general aviation. There's 80, 100, 100 low lead, and Jet A. The 80 octane is reddish in color, the 100 is green in color, and the 100 low lead is blue, and the Jet A is colorless. Most general aviation aircraft use this 100 low lead, and they put tint in the fuel, so this way when we go back and we test, after refueling, we go back and test, and we use a strainer to test, and we should have a blue tint in the fuel, so that is an indication that our fuel is good to go. Just making sure I'm looking at all my talking points. Alright, so back to our question. And before I even go there too, there's another thing. When we go to our POH, or Pilot's Operating Handbook, it will tell us what to do in the event that our particular fuel can't be found. And basically, what we would do is go to the next higher octane. Normally, you always consult your POH, but normally you can go to the next higher octane, and you could use it temporarily. If you can't find your 100 low lead, then you can go up an octane level, but you would never go down, because then we would have some really bad things going on in the engine, like cylinder head temperatures that are high, and engine oil temperatures that may exceed their normal operating range. So the answer is A, using a fuel that has a lower than specified fuel rating. That is what's going to cause cylinder head and oil temperature gauges to exceed their normal ranges. And so in that case, what would happen is you would see, let's see, where's the oil temperature? Yeah, you would see these needles, this needle in the red, and you would see the cylinder head temperature in the red. And that's really, really, really bad for the engine, and you do not want to do that. So our answer is A. Next slide. Okay, refer to Figure 21 in Area 4. What hazards to aircraft may exist in restricted areas such as 5302B is a Bravo, or we call it 5302 Bravo. Alright, so in this test question, it is like kind of all the way down, very, very low, but basically what we have is Area 4, and a restricted area looks like this. Alright, so how do we know that's a restricted area? Another thing that we can do is we can consult our sectional chart, and we go to the section that talks about airport traffic service and airspace information. So, airspace information. Um, we would come down here, and what I've done is I've blown this little section up because that deals with the type of airspace that we're dealing with, the blue areas with the tick marks on the inside. So this is a prohibited, it could be a prohibited, restricted, or warning area, or Canadian advisory, danger, or restricted area. So yeah. So basically in restricted areas, what we would have going on is unusual, often invisible hazards such as aerial gunnery or guided missiles. Okay, and that's not the end of it all. It's a lot. It's some other things that could be going on, but it's not something that you would want to be playing with if it's hot. And then another thing, and when I say hot, I mean active. Now another thing too, you can go to your sectional chart and it can tell you what times of the month or what times of the day that specific restricted area would be active. So in this chart you would go to the air ground communications panel and you would look up the restricted area number, which would be 5302B as in Bravo in this choice, and it would have times, activity, controlling agency. There'd be a frequency on there you can contact. Even if you didn't know if it was active, you can just kind of call ahead. If you were flying like from here and you were flying over Area 4, then I'd probably give them a shout out before I hit Elizabeth City VOR and just say, you know, I'd talk to approach. You could talk to approach controller if you're on an IFR flight, which is instrument flight rules, and then you could basically, what am I trying to say? Yeah, and then you can just give them a shout, and hey, is restricted area 5302 Bravo active? And the air traffic controllers, they will know whether that restricted area is active or not. So again, we have back to our selections, and we have answer B. Okay. The next section, or the next question. Refer to Figure 26, Area 2. The floor of the Class B airspace at Addison Airport is, our options are at the surface, B, 3,000 feet mean sea level, or C, 3,100 feet mean sea level. So, first of all, we need to know what Class B airspace is. Again, we go back to our Airport Traffic Service and Airspace Information panel on our sectional chart. And we come down and we're looking for different types of airspace. We can go all the way down, we can come all the way up to the top of the panel, and we will find a Class B or Class Bravo airspace, and I've blown it up, is a blue solid line. Okay, there's no breaks in the line. So when we come back, we can see our blue solid line here, and the only thing on this chart that represents that is the blue line here, the blue line here, the blue line here, and we can see our primary airport in the Class Bravo airspace. Now, for all you guys that aren't really trained in air navigation, or you don't know how to read maps and everything like that, this is actually like I know it looks flat as you look at it on the map, but it's actually upside down birthday cake, and I'll explain that in a minute. So they want to know what is the floor of the Class Bravo airspace. So we have this ring going out here, and we add 2 zeros to these numbers. So 3,000 feet to 11,000 feet is what this shelf is doing. All right, and these are in mean sea level. All right. The only place that Class B exists at the surface will be over the primary airport, and however far out it extends. All right, so the upside down birthday cake. All right, so now we have this inner ring that is 2,000 to 11,000 feet. So there could be different sections of this, but basically, or typically, Class Bravo airspace would look like this. And this is what I mean by the upside down birthday cake, because we have the inner surface, which is here, that goes from field elevation all the way up to 10,000 feet in this case. I'll just make this 11 because it goes with the test example. And that is the inner ring, so the surface is Class Bravo airspace. And then we have an outer ring that starts at 3,000 and goes up to 11,000 feet. So basically, you could kind of fly sideways. Like if you were looking from the top, I could actually fly here if I was at 2,500 feet. And never ever at 2,500 feet, I would be flying under the upper portion of the Class Bravo airspace and never touch it, and probably wouldn't have to talk to anybody. But do I recommend that? No. Along Class Bravo airspaces, airports and airport traffic areas, I recommend that you be talking to approach control and get a radar flight following, because that's just an extra set of eyes helping you maintain safety. All right, so if we come back, we'll see over Addison Airport, the floor of this is 3,000 feet, mean sea level. And you can actually see this is Class D or Delta airspace, broken blue lines. And I'll go back to the chart. And you can see Class D airspace here. Actually, it's blown up here. Class D airspace is the broken blue line. And it comes from the surface of Addison Airport. Alpha Delta Sierra is the airport identifier. And we have broken blue lines. And we see that this little caption here is slightly less than 3,000 feet is where, less than 3,000 feet is where the Class D airspace stops, because the Class Bravo shelf, it comes up to the Class Bravo shelf. So if you were just launching a balloon or rocket straight up, it would, and if it went above 3,000 feet, it would be in Class Delta airspace till, I'll just say 2,999 feet, and then you would be penetrating the Class Bravo airspace. So it's very, very important. The airport that's outside, or underlying the Class Bravo airspace is kind of like out here. And so if we go up, up, and up, to all the way up to 2,999 feet mean sea level, so our answer is 3,000 feet mean sea level. Okay. One in-flight condition necessary for structural icing to form is A, it's small temperature dew point spread, B, stratiform clouds, or C, visible moisture. This is what icing looks like. Icing actually destroys or disrupts the smooth airflow. When these aircraft are built, what happens is the wing structure, or the curvature of the wing, is designed to produce a certain amount of lift, and it's a perfect curve or camber. And what happens is, well, this aircraft has a de-icing boot, but it's finally on the ground and fighting through all the clouds or visible moisture and stuff like that. This is probably climbing during the climb above the clouds. It ran into a little bit of icing, and so we can see it as evidence, and sometimes you can get it on the windows. Okay, so first thing, to satisfy in-flight icing, we're going to have low temperatures. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. We can see a outside air temperature gauge. I put in a picture here because if you're flying in an aircraft like a Cessna 172, the OAT, or outside air temperature gauge, is like right up here in the leading edge portion of the wing section, and this kind of hangs out right there, and it traps the air and it takes the temperature of it. So I'd be very, very concerned when this needle got around 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which would be the top side of this. Okay. Now, if it's cold in a day like this, there's no clouds or visible moisture, you know, hey, it's just cold, that's all. But when you fly in areas where there's clouds are just visible moisture, or precipitation, that is another form of visible moisture. So you have the clouds, rain, precipitation, freezing rain, something like that, and the temperature conditions satisfy that, then we get ourselves in a situation where visible moisture is what we're looking for in this section, and I didn't yelling that out. So that was our final question. Send more. All you guys that are working on your private pilot, instrument pilot, commercial pilot, airline transport pilot, flight engineer, whatever FAA test questions that you may have that you may be a little bit unclear on, or you want me to expand on, I will do it. I'll do a video on it. So on that note, I hope you like this video. I hope you subscribe, and please share on your social media networks. This is Kieno Thomas of Kieno Training Systems. I thank you for watching. Have a great evening.